Gleva here with a weather update. We have a line of strong to severe storms beginning to work their way into the viewing area. Currently off to our west and to our south. This is a picture coming in from Morgan Axe at the United Center in Chicago. You can already see the line of storms. You can see the little shelf cloud and the rain behind it there at the United Center in Chicago. Main threats with these storms today, by far the damaging wind threat is the main threat. I'm talking wind gusts 50 to 70, 75 miles an hour with these storms as they roll through. Any storm that does stay isolated out ahead of the main line could pose a threat for hail, maybe up to an inch or two. I'm thinking it'll be on the smaller side. And we can't rule out a spin-up tornado or two. Bottom line is, even if you don't see severe weather, heavy rain and lightning are a given at this point. Severe weather outlook, almost everybody in a level 2 out of 5 risk for severe weather. This orange shaded area is level 3 out of 5 risk for severe weather, mainly along and east of the state line. Valpo, you are in that enhanced risk. Temperatures, this is what's helping fuel the storms. We made it into the mid to upper 70s as soon as that sun came out at about noon, and it's open sunshine right now outside of the studios. Here's a current look at radar. We actually now have a tornado warning for portions of Lake and Newton County. It's radar indicated. Valpo, you are also under a severe thunderstorm warning here for 70 mile an hour straight line winds. We're going to continue to track this as it continues to get closer, getting into Valpo here in the next hour or so. If I step off here for a minute and work the radar for a second. You can see this line has really come together here in the last hour or so, and it's racing off to the north and to the east. So Valpo, this is set to get in here in under a half hour, getting in here at right around 3 o'clock over towards Cool Springs by 3:15. LaPorte, that'd be closer to 3:30 at this point. Again, the main area of concern is you can see that little kink in the line down there near the Lake County, Newton County line. That's the area of concern where we do have some rotation ongoing right now. That is, if it stays on the line that it is now, it is aimed directly at Valpo. Again, that will get in here in about half an hour or so as this line continues to move off to the north and to the east. We also have Zoe Barrages in here helping with coverage, and we have Kaylee Cutting in the control room working the cameras. I'm going to continue to track this line as it continues to get closer. Again, getting into Gary here in the next 10 minutes, Lake Station at about 2:52, Valpo here at about 3 o'clock. Right now I'm looking at radar. If the rotation continues on, it's going to be a really close call here for campus. Everybody on campus, you should get back to your dorms and get into your safe place. Be where you're going to be until this line passes. The severe weather threat really goes down after this line rolls through. This is the threat. Anything out ahead of it, we'll have to watch for a hail threat. The line itself, my main concern is damaging winds. Zoe, do we have any reports of anything yet?
Let me see. I know Kaylee just mentioned to me that the sirens were going off on campus a moment ago and that they just stopped.
Okay.
So the storms are definitely coming and heading right this way.
Okay. I wonder if we were sounding the sirens because in the severe thunderstorm warning, there is a damage threat considerable tag on it. So that's just due to the threat that you're going to have 70 mile an hour straight line winds. It might not be spinning, but winds still just pushing out from a line of storms is going to do some damage. Also, some pretty impressive winds moving through downtown Chicago right now. I know here on radar, it doesn't look all that impressive. That's just because it's super close to the radar site. But I mean, there's some radar estimated 70, closer to 80 mile an hour winds, which even if that's not reaching the ground, that's still gonna blow loose objects around. Again, main concern is right along this little kink in the line, basically due north of Rensselaer, right where the tip of my finger is. That is pushing off to like the north-northeast. Valpo is in the direct line of this. I'm going to step off again and track that out a little further. On this line, I don't really have any reports of damage so far. Reports of a wind gust east of Kankakee measured 62 miles an hour. And then near Donovan, another wind gust of 60 miles an hour. So here's another track on it. This has slowed down a little bit, but again, I'm plus minus 5 minutes on all of this. Valpo at 3:02, Michigan City about 3:15, 3:20, Plymouth, you're in Eastern time, so Central time it'd be about 3:35, but since they're in Eastern time, it's going to be about 4:30. We also have some reports of small hail, just pea-sized hail in and around Crown Point. Again, that area of rotation continues to be picked up by radar. That's not super great for us here in Valpo.
Mason, I was just told that a severe thunderstorm warning has been sent out from the university through email.
Okay, so a lot of you that might be tuning in here, finding us just because you got the email, we are under a severe thunderstorm warning. In that severe thunderstorm warning, the reason why I think the sirens were sounded is there are different levels of severe thunderstorm warnings. And on this one, it got a damage threat considerable tag, so I'm wondering if that's why the university was sounding the sirens. It also could be due to that rotation that's now coming up to the Lake Jasper, Porter County line that continues to lift off to the north and east. Again, getting into Valpo here at about 3:05. If you're out and about in Valpo right now, I would recommend heading back to campus, heading home. Just, you're not going to want to be out and about in this line of storms, so wrap up whatever you need to wrap up here in the next 5 minutes or so and then head home and be where you're going to be until this line passes. This line, it's racing through here at about 55, 60 miles an hour. So we're going to spend a lot of time talking about this line getting here, and then it's only going to last for 20, maybe 30 minutes, and then your severe threat is over. Behind this, it's going to be a little brutal. We might have some snowflakes falling to start your day tomorrow. I didn't want to tell you that, but that's the cards we've been dealt. Got to get through this line first. There's actually a pretty impressive storm now firing right along 30. That's going to lift off to the north towards Gary. That, again, any storms that pop up out ahead of this would have a small hail threat, and I actually think that is the one that's causing small hail right now. And there's another hail report coming in from the south side of Gary near Hammond of more pea-sized hail. So not necessarily seeing super large hail with these storms, just little small hailstones, maybe up to like small marble size, 1/4 to 1/2 inch at most. The main concern is going to be for damaging winds. If we want to actually scoot the radar a little farther to the south, Zoe, to get a better look at that line down near Rensselaer if we can. This is where the significant damaging wind threat is going to pose. This would be gusts probably easily over 60 miles an hour, pushing 75 at this apex of the bow. So Lafayette's basically at the tip of my finger. That's going to continue to move off to the northeast. That's going to be a Plymouth, Rochester, Warsaw, even Fort Wayne problem. So even though we're not going to get the brunt of this with the little kink in the line up there near like the triple point where Lake, Porter, and Jasper counties all meet, there's a little area of rotation there that thankfully has gone down in recent radar scans, but that line up near Chicago is really pumping out wind. It's starting to fill in a little better as it's moving farther away from the radar. If we want to track that part out, this would impact Gary, Hammond, Whitting, East Chicago, Griffith, over there, kind of moving a little more north and east. Not really this part of the line isn't necessarily a Valpo concern, but getting into Gary here in about 15 minutes or so, Valpo, your segment of the line is going to get in here a little sooner, just after 3. And then Michigan City, again, 3:20, 3:30, somewhere in there is when the line will get to you. I don't have any more reports. Has Kaylee told anything to you through your ear yet?
No, not yet.
Okay. Do we have any more pictures?
I did not get any pictures yet, no.
With us? That southern part of the line, there are tornado warnings north of Terre Haute now. I know we have VUTV's own Adam Stipik out there. I don't know if he's seeing anything. I know we had Evan Gustafson down near Crawfordsville. I haven't heard anything from him as this line is nearing him, but the main area of concern for damaging winds, again, remains to the south of Valpo. If we want to scroll back down, get rid of the storm track there. Down south of Rensselaer, now getting into Lafayette. I have no idea what WIA is. That should be Lafayette. The main part of the line, there's a pretty big severe thunderstorm warning as this line continues to scoot off to the north. It's really kind of taken more of a northern turn here over the last 10 minutes or so. So again, the main concern for damaging winds is going to be at the apex of this bow. And you can even see that little kink where that tornado warning is there in between Lafayette and Terre Haute, just off to the north and to the east of Crawfordsville. Oh, thank you, AccuWeather. Lightning detected within 8 miles of your location. I think I know that already. The rotation, it's not super tight. If we want to scroll in a little tighter on Valpo, that's probably good. And a little more to the south if we can. Okay, it's this mean purple core here. This is the area of concern. I can't pop up the winds on here. But this little sort of peek out right along the Lake County line, that's what's moving off to the north. It's going to be a really close call. Areas that would get in on it before it would get in here would be Hebron. So everybody in Hebron, it's popping up as Boone here. I think it's Boone Township, but this should be Hebron. You should be in your safe place right now. This is going to stay north of DeMont, and then eventually getting in here to Valpo just after 3 o'clock. I don't have any reports of damage. The tornado warning continues down there for the little southwestern corner of Lake County until 3 o'clock. And they're actually going to let it expire. They're not going to continue it into Porter County, at least for now. So just know this storm that's tracking towards Valpo now has a history of rotation. Even if it doesn't drop a tornado, that would increase the wind speed around here or even pump out some small hail like these storms have been doing throughout Lake County. Lots of pea-sized hail reports. Zoe, anything new that you're seeing that I haven't said yet?
Not yet, but Kaylee did just send me a couple of pictures that were taken just outside of the studio, showing that the clouds are starting to roll in.
Okay. Let's take a look. The new severe thunderstorm warning was extended out for portions of Stark and Pulaski counties for sort of the same deal. Here, 70-mile-an-hour winds and nickel-size hail. So in order to get a severe thunderstorm warning, you need winds greater than 58 miles an hour, 70s greater than 58, or hail greater than an inch in diameter. That's quarter-size hail. And this line continuing to track toward us here, toward Valpo here. Everybody on campus should be in their dorms. Nobody should be out walking around right now. If you're out and about, at this point, I'd just stay where you're at, whether that's if you're at Meijer doing grocery shopping, if you're at Walmart, just stay put until this line passes. You're not going to want to be out driving with the heavy rain and the winds. You're not going to be able to see a whole lot in front of you. If we want to track this part of the line out, I don't think much has changed. I'll probably be getting in here about 3 o'clock. Hebron, right about now, it's 2:48, so it's practically there. Winfield in about 5 minutes at 2:52. Valpo just after 3, and then northern portions of Valpo, Blackhawk Beach at about 3:10. This line has a history of producing 60-mile-an-hour winds. I don't have any damage reports coming out of Southern Lake County where that tornado warning was issued. But again, once this line passes, your severe weather threat is over. So we just got to get through the next half an hour, 45 minutes or so, and then we're in the clear here. We've already hit our high temperatures from the day, so after this line rolls through, I'll go back a couple graphics. This hasn't updated yet. But you can already see temperatures in the low 60s out there, so we really aren't going to recover after this line rolls through. We enjoy the warmth while we got it because temperatures will crash after this line rolls through. Still sitting at 73 here in Valpo. I said we needed to get close to 75 when Zoe and I were talking off camera before we went on. We basically did that. We were just a couple degrees shy, 73 in Valpo and Michigan City and in Goshen. South Bend hit 75. That warm front was kind of hung up near I-94, sort of Kalamazoo. That surged back north this morning, so they needed to probably hit 70 degrees, and they will here in the next hour or so. So the severe weather threat continues to increase, especially from Valpo eastward as this line approaches. we needed a couple hours of sunshine. Sunshine today was not going to be our friend, and it peaked out at about noon and didn't go away. Going back to radar here, you can continue to see this line roll through the area, and now we have some isolated storms out ahead of the line that we're going to have to watch. This isn't necessarily an us issue, but our friends in South Bend, Plymouth, Warsaw, Goshen, Elkhart, Wakarusa, Napanee will have to deal with that. We want to scroll down a little bit to the southern portion of the line and time that out. Here, it doesn't have that well-defined bow as much anymore, but it's still going to be pretty efficient at pumping out winds. That's just sort of the outer fringes of the line there. Rochester about 415, Plymouth 420, South Bend about 440, and then Penn, that's Mishawaka, that's the city that neighbors South Bend, at about 440, 445. That'll continue to move off to the northeast. So this section of the line isn't what's going to hit us here in Valpo. It's this section right here in southern Lake County that has a history of producing a little bit of rotation. It's really bowing out now. So straight line winds are really the main threat here in Valpo. That, again, we'll get in here in the next 10 or 15 minutes or so. Once this line passes, our severe weather threat is over. So we just got to get through the next half an hour or so here. New report near Midlothian of some small limbs broken. Lots of hail reports right now in the
Mason,
suburbs of Chicago.
They just put a tornado warning in effect for Lake County and Newton County until 3 p.m. That's going to continue.
Okay, so they're continuing the little snippet of the tornado warning.
It's that area right near Hebron.
Okay, that we've been talking about.
Yes.
Okay, so they're continuing the tornado warning until 3 o'clock. There really aren't any towns of consequence in here. It's just really a section of I-65 between Cedar Creek and Hebron. That's really moved out of the warning area. It's actually right along 2. Basically beelined right at us. Again, I'm not seeing any signs of rotation on the radar on here, so that's good news. But again, this line is going to be pretty efficient at pumping out some damaging straight line winds. So getting into wind field basically now, down near Islesworth, in about 5 minutes. Coolwood Acres, I think that's Aberdeen is what it's registering it as. Just after 3, and then Valpo at about 5 after 3, Wanata at about 3:10. So this line continuing to push off to the northeast. I wouldn't be shocked if there's a little bit of small hail in this pink core here, just because the storms today have had a history producing some small hail about pea-sized.
They're reporting pea-sized with this.
They're reporting pea-sized hail with this. That main line near Chicago is now beginning to move offshore. That's going to be a West Michigan problem, impacting areas like Benton Harbor, New Buffalo, Bridgman, Glendora. But it's this section of the line that has our concern here. Do we have those pictures from Kaylee in there ready to go?
No, not yet.
I don't know if we want to get those in there. I'm going to step out and grab a drink of water real quick. Zoe, if you want to continue yapping about the line.
Yeah. So, like Mason said, this line is going to continue to kind of make its way into our area in the next 5 or 10 minutes or so. And then from there, we're going to, we kind of just, it'll be moving pretty quickly, so we should be out of our area in the next, probably by about 3:15, 3:30. Looking up a little bit farther northeast into like the Chicago area, that storm is kind of also, like Mason said, starting to move off onto the lakes. These storms are moving fairly quickly. And then there's also been a little bit more development farther out in front of the line. Like there's a smaller cell that is just about to cross 2 and should be heading towards areas like Kankakee. And then down to the south, there's some more of those smaller cells. But this is our main area of concern, is this section here where the pink is, and that's making a quick trek up here to Valpo. But this will all be out of here fairly quickly. So just got to make it through like the next 15 to 20 minutes or so, and then we should all be in the clear. But the good news is it looks like that tornado warning that we were talking about earlier for Lake and Newton County is going to be allowed to expire in the next little bit. So we're going to get this next picture that our person in the sound booth, Kaylee, got for us up in here. But let's just go back to the radar for now. So let's take a look and see how things are going. Oh, well, that's what we're at right now.
Okay. Well, I mean, this isn't like, it doesn't have that kink to it that we had earlier. So the tornado threat is going down with this line as it continues to, it's kind of bowing out at this point. It'll be here in Valpo in just a matter of moments. There is some broad rotation sort of on the right along 2, sort of right in here. That's going to continue to move our direction. So everybody on campus should be in their safe place, not necessarily worried about a tornado threat. That would enhance the damaging winds locally, maybe even bump up the hail size. So if we're at P size, it might be closer to a 1/2-inch size hail. And this will continue to roll our direction here in the next 5 to 10 minutes or so. Lots of reports of pea-sized hail continuing with these storms, even just off to our north with the northern section of the line up by Hobart, Portage, Chesterton, starting to get some pea-sized hail reports in there. If you have any pictures, if you're watching at home, have any pictures and it's safe for you to do so, send your pictures to vutvweather@valpo.edu. I'll be happy to share those photos as soon as I can here. Again, continuing to track this section of the line, I'm going to step off the camera real quick and time this out. This segment of the line that continues to track its way towards Valpo here in the next 5 to 10 minutes or so. It does have a history of some rotation, no reported tornadoes with it, but it does have a history of some brief rotation with it, and that's really just the concern with this line at this point, is just the threat for a spin-up tornado or two, which is why the severe thunderstorm warning has a tornado possible tag. Even though there isn't one currently, it doesn't mean that it won't happen down the line. So as this line continues to lift off to the north and east, getting into Lake of the Four Seasons right now, Valpo at about 305, Liberty at 310, Chesterton 315, Cool Springs at about 320, 325. This would probably get into Westville at about the same time, 320, 325. Once this line clears Valpo, our severe weather threat is over. We just got to get through the next about 10 minutes or so, and then we'll be in the clear. This line is basically here now. We'll probably hear the rain start here at the studio here in the next.
Just said winds have picked up significantly.
Okay, so now we have winds picking up here. I wouldn't be shocked if the lights flicker, just because we're going to get 60, 70 mile an hour wind gusts in through here. And even the other day when the last severe weather threat we had, even though the storms went strong, the winds out ahead of it were causing lights to flicker on and off around campus.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. I spoke it into existence. Right now, radar, Radar picking up, radar estimated winds 55 to 60 miles an hour. That's kind of what I thought. Continuing to lift through here, it'll be in Valpo. It's basically here now. We're getting the winds. That northern